Yo everybody, what it is, and thanks for tuning back into another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Today we got a long-term update here on the Diavel S. First and foremost, let me start off by saying happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope everyone is having a happy Thanksgiving. Eat lots of food, go riding, hang with the fam, do nothing, do what you do what you don't do. Enjoy your day off. Of course, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. But we got a long-term update here on the Diavel S, and a lot of people have been kind of asking, for this, so let me go ahead and make this video and tell you exactly my little review, term updates on some things, some problems I've had with the bike, some issues that are maybe going to come up, some things that I foresee coming up, how I like it, how I don't like it, and let's just kick it off. So let's turn to it. So obviously here, you guys know I have my Diavel S. It is a 2018, and obviously when I first had it, you guys know that I had the rear brake issue. Now, it's not really a Ducati issue. This is a Brembo brake issue. Now, I don't believe that the issue ever lied within the caliper or the lines. I believe it lies solely within the master cylinder. And believe it or not, it kind of is, it's still there. And when I could show you guys, so now that the bike has been sitting, so you could see it moves a lot, but then as you pump it and build, now it doesn't really move and it builds pressure. So you let it sit there for maybe 30 seconds or so, and then it'll go all the way, and it's like the master is losing pressure. So what I think is really happening is within this master cylinder, 100%, that one of the seals is messed up. Now, when it went in the first time, when the brakes actually got stuck in the back, they say they replaced everything pretty much except the reservoir. So they replaced the pads, replaced the rear rotor and everything, and then obviously bled it and put it back up. However, the issue is still there. Now, other individuals, even other bloggers like Cycle Cruiser, when he had his Diavel S, he had an issue with the rear brakes. Other individuals I've read on many forums have had an issue with this rear brake. I don't know if it's considered an absolute recall yet, but somebody at Ducati needs to contact Brembo to get this shit fixed. Now, again, is a fatty back tire. It's a 240. The bike is very long. A lot of braking is not going to be done with the rear, but I want my rear brake to work very well. So I've gone ahead and tried to, completely, bleed it and fix it myself and stuff like that, and got all the air out of it, double checked, obviously, the reservoir to make sure that there is no additional air or anything coming out. There isn't. Ducati did it. There isn't. It's something to do with that master cylinder. Now, other individuals have also said with this that they've replaced the reservoir with like a Rizoma, and it's fixed it. Now, I really don't see how that would do it if both units are sealed, but then again, I also do feel that this was a piss poor design, that this is the top of the master and this is where your reservoir is going to be. Meaning so that when this bike is leaning at 35 degrees of lean angle, there's a good chance, because this is where it's going to pick up, you're probably going to have some type of air or something in there if you push the brakes down at that time. It's very possible. It's kind of hard for me to watch at that time when I'm leaning, but it's very possible. I think they could have figured out somewhere else how to and where to remote mount it. Where? I don't know. I'm not the engineer exactly. I really haven't put much thought into it, but they got the bike this pretty and was able to do that. They could figure out something else, just like the remote mount a bunch of other stuff on every other crotch rocket and stuff like that over there, and on this bike and any other bike. So I'm probably going to take that back in. They need to have that finished and fixed because I want my rear brake. Other issues I've had with the bike since I've had it. Every now and then, so here's the key fob. You can obviously start the bike with your code, or obviously the key has to be within reach. The key really only operates the gas tank. So technically you don't need a key to start the motorcycle. But if you don't have the key within its proximity, you have to enter the code that obviously you set to start your motorcycle. Now, again, like I said, sometimes I've had issues with the key fob not reading. I know the battery isn't dead or something like that, but for whatever reason, sometimes it just doesn't want to recognize it, and then I kind of have to do it manually by entering the code. And then once the bike fires up, it's fine. I don't know, maybe there's a software update or something like that. So if anyone else has an Diavel S, which I know a couple of viewers of mine do, comment below and let me know if you guys have also had that issue. It's every now and then, it's sporadic. It's not that it happens like once every 5 days or once every week or anything like that. No, I could drive it to work 5 days a week. 1 day out of the week it'll do it. And then I can drive it to go get food whenever, and it just doesn't feel like working. And it might not work for 2 or 3 times, and then it works. I don't know. So small annoyance things, but nothing that's really going to like completely hinder the cost of me like really purchasing this motorcycle. Let me talk about miles and everything like that and how far it's ridden. I think now I'm just coming up on 2,000 miles. I think I have 1,900 miles. I've done a little bit of racing with it. I have obviously, done a little bit of touring with it. Tires, for the most part, they are Pirelli Russo 2s. And even with me kind of really getting on it and jacking on it all the time, there's not really that big of a crown in the center. Now, obviously a little bit, but nothing too crazy. For the front pretty much looks brand new. And you got to remember, the front of this bike, this is a long bike, so it's pretty much all being stopped pretty much by the front brakes. And again, the brakes in the front are off the chain, perfect. Another issue that some people have, obviously, with the belt, with the catching rocks and such. Haven't had any, and I've inspected my belt and kept taking a peek at it and looking. No issues or anything like that. No rock chips or anything like that. Everything else has been pretty good. Clutch has been good. Suspension's been good. Haven't seen any leaks or anything like that. Now when I say leaks, like obviously like anything seeping, no. Now, one thing I have noticed with all of my Ducatis, all 4 of them, is that when this thing sits, after you come ride it in, and if it's like hot outside or something like that, when you come in and the bike is, let's say it's at 200 degrees, you turn it off. Obviously, it's going to get to like 205, 210 before it starts to come back down and dissipate into obviously ambient temperature wherever it's located. I've noticed that a small amount of antifreeze will always boil over. It's very strange, and I thought it was just one bike, and it's not just one bike. It's my Diavel, my 959, my Hyper Motard, or my V4. And it's always like 1 or 2 little drops that I find on the floor. And it's really strange because at first I thought these bikes had like an antifreeze leak, and it doesn't. But that's something that I think that Ducati should be able to understand and get a hold of, because your expansion and overflow tank should be able to catch that, and there's no way, and I've watched it, and they're not full. So the breather tube or something like that just obviously lets out pressure and lets a couple drops on the floor. I don't know. For as much as this shit costs, this shit should be flawless, but I can tell you this, all of them are by far from flawless. Maybe flawless looking when they ain't moving, because then you don't got no problems. But the second you turn them on, sometimes you have problems. But anyway, whatever. I just like to talk shit about the shit I own, because that's just what I do, and it's part of the entertainment, and I like to do that because it's my shit. But anyway, so other little issue that I had when I was running it and kind of racing it against the 959, I did notice that obviously through positive crankcase pressure that had a little bit of oil start to spray out on the exhaust. Now, kind of strange, but I've beat on it again since then, and I haven't noticed an issue. Maybe it just got really, really, really hot that day, but again, you shouldn't have any positive crankcase pressure because these are L twins and V twins. You should have breather tubes and obviously things for and vacuum tubes to suck back into the intake portion of the engine to pull out some of that vacuum in the crankcase, so you don't have positive crankcase pressure. Very similar to a boosted application when you have a turbo or supercharger, so you don't have positive crankcase pressure. You have a one-way check valve so that you can suck a lot of that positive crankcase pressure out. The piston can suck it in, and it can obviously be burned and gone out. Or you have a vacuum pump. One way or another, Ducati should have had this answered, and I know that happens because I've not only seen that on this bike, I've seen this also on a lot of other V-twins and a lot of other Ducatis. So, but that's really for the main issues and the main things that I've had, obviously, with the bike. No real major issues, again, besides the small master cylinder issue. Front brakes have been great. Mirrors or nothing haven't fallen off. The grips are good. No hiccups with the cruise control. No hiccups with the electronics. Turn signals when I had them because I took mine off. Hazards. Launch control. The display has never wigged out. The Bluetooth has never wigged out. The lights are great. The daytime running light. The headlights. All of that, the bright lights, everything else for the most part has really been good. I haven't really had any complaints for the first pretty much 2,000 miles. And anything that I have adjusted, such as the suspension to keep everything kind of going, it's kind of really suited me well. Even for when I had a passenger on the back, I had passengers on the back with the small seat. It's obviously not too comfortable for them on the small seat because there's just not a lot of seat, for their ass to be sitting down on. So obviously you put the other seat that's maybe just about that much longer and of course has a little back brace so that they can obviously feel more secure. And then obviously everything else is perfect with the bike. Everything else, and the passenger didn't complain either. So no real too crazy major complaints, but I think that is a well-due update. So as maybe 4,000 or 5,000 miles comes through, we'll do another update, see exactly where we are. But for anyone else that's obviously been looking at this bike to say, hey, well, is it a money pit? Is it Ducati? Do I have to be worried about it completely? Well, the only thing I'm going to tell you probably to start off is you're probably going to have issues with your rear brake because it's a Brembo issue, and for whatever reason, they can't get this shit straight. But it's not that it doesn't work. It still locks up. The traction control and the ABS still recognize it. Sometimes you just have to pump it once because it almost gives you a false sense of security, but it still works, and it's never really given me any worry. So I think that's going to wrap it up here. So that's a quick review, 2,000 miles in, good in depth, everything else is good. And I still love this bike. It's still a hyper cruiser. It's the ultimate cruiser in my opinion, and I love it. I'm very happy I chose this over the V-Rod. If the V-Rod was obviously updated, had a 6-speed and everything like this, and I know the breakout, but you know what? The breakout ain't the V-Rod. I wanted a V-Rod. I'm an American muscle guy. That's kind of what I wanted, but it was just too old. 5-speed, old technology, heavy. This is the way to go, and this looks obviously different. So very happy with this, and would I buy it again? As of right now, hopefully no other shit breaks, and then so far I'm another buyer for this bike. Some other Ducatis I'm definitely on the fence with, but this one is a killer. This one's a win for me. So that's going to wrap it up here for today's video. I hope you guys like this. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Facebook, Instagram, at the Speedbug. Same name here as YouTube. And we'll catch you here for another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Deuces, y'all.